Hey, my cat meowed and said hello. That means it must be time for a Sunday live chat. It is, and we're here with special guest Nigel Ayers, joining us from. Are you in London?
No, I'm in Cornwall, in the
Cornwall,
UK, in the far southwest.
far southwest. Well, welcome,
Yeah.
Nigel. Great to see you. I'm a huge fan, as you probably may have realized. So, my apologies if I get a little geeky today.
Oh, that's all right.
So, since we did a sound check the other day, it was quite fun. And I had told you that there was some big things happening, of course. And the first thing was is it hasn't rained here in Los Angeles for 169 days. And then the night, 2 nights ago, it rained.
Mhm.
Believe that. We woke up in the morning to the sound of people cheering and screaming and to the sound of like, obviously, everybody, I guess, in the world knows what's going on, is that we have
Yeah.
ejected the orange veil. Um, I gather you are also much aware of the political scenarios. You've over time, always
Oh,
express yourself well within your music about politics. This, what's your feeling on Donald Trump and this whole thing?
oh my God. I mean,
Good way to start.
I mean, how does a character off The Simpsons get to be president?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Simpsons cartoon turns into reality. It's just, I can't believe it. I can't believe that guy was ever became president, or the popularity of somebody so completely and utterly loathsome. I mean, I can't see what quality it is that would appeal to anybody, really.
And neither I. And apparently, to 70 million people, he is still appealing. So I don't quite get it either. It's really confusing. I'm glad that we don't have to think about it anymore. Like yesterday felt like it just felt very refreshing. I don't think I felt inspired like that for a while. I kept on feeling like I was going to start crying, if that's any indicator.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, yeah. I brought a little tear to my eye actually watching it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think I might
yeah,
shed a tear when Kamala does her vice presidential speech, but it's just like opening up a door to a new world here, which I'm super proud to be speaking about instead of speaking about, how pitiful it would have been if he was reelected.
yeah.
Nevertheless, I've been sitting here this morning listening to a record recommended to me by my friend Mark, a record that you made with Robin Story, Hank and Slim.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a Western ambient uh, album. Robin Story from Soviet France, of course.
Yeah.
Um, what are you working on these days?
Working musically, I'm sort of in between things at the moment, really. I mean, I've got reissues coming out, and I've got some collages coming out in like a book full of collages coming out from like me 80. Well, it's not all collages, graphics I did in the 80s and early 90s. That's sort of in the pipeline. I sort of worked pretty intensely on music for most of the summer. So at the moment, I'm sort of taking a break from it and doing some other things, really.
Did,
Yeah.
did you find this
Uh,
whole COVID thing like an inspiration to get working on something, or it's kind of like I've noticed that some people haven't been inspired at all during this time, and some people have been very prolific.
uh, well, yeah, not particularly. Not particularly, no.
Yeah,
I didn't find it particularly inspiring, no. But I mean, what I did find nice was like the return of nature and just to have a bit of quiet. I mean, I live next to a very noisy road here, and it's just nice that the traffic went, and I could hear bird song, and I could hear like bees in the trees around here, and there aren't planes flying ahead all the time. So, I mean, that was really lovely. But then again, it was a bit scary in March and April when we were locked down. And then we weren't locked down for a bit, and it's sort of all been a sort of bit vague, like all this, people started wearing masks and things. And we just got locked down again on Thursday. But it doesn't seem to be the same sort of a thing, like you can't go out. I mean, I suppose you're not supposed to leave your house or something, but people are doing us. So it doesn't seem quite the same. But no, I don't think I found it particularly inspiring or uninspiring. But I find it very interesting, though. Yeah, I suppose inspiring as to the return of nature. I found that inspirational, and just the close down of just this constant noise of the modern world, really. And this, yeah.
Suppose
Not having to keep. That, the other thing was it fear of missing out? We all, I think we all, in a capitalist environment, we all have this fear of missing out on something, and that just went because nobody was doing anything. Nobody could do anything. I thought that was wonderful.
yeah, I can relate to that. I also have that similar feeling. Of course, here it's become an epidemic again. We have yesterday 125,000 people in the country who tested positive, and over 1,000 people died. So it's comparatively to when we locked down last March. I think there was only like 1,500 people infected in the entire country, and it's weird. I also live near a noisy street, and you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
For the 2 weeks after that, and it was I noticed it right away. I was like, this is like something that you wouldn't ever expect to hear, like the sounds that you were hearing and stuff. It's kind of like, I don't know, a bit inspirational in a semi sort of. I don't know if you're interested in like recording, and stuff like that. But within the last number of years, you've been sort of devoting your energy musically to what it seems to be more shamanistic, spiritualistic adventures. Anyways, is it that you during this time are waiting for the inspiration to arise for a new level of calm?
No, I don't think I'll wait for. I think really at the moment I'm just sort of going through quite a contemplative time, and yeah, I'm not really waiting for inspiration. I'm just not focused. I'm not focused on music right now at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you making art? You were saying collage.
Yeah. I started. I've been model making really. I think what's come back to me, like in the early 80s, just the sort of spaces where I lived and worked, quite, this which was like squatting environments in South London, and just I've lived in sort of small cottages and small spaces, and then they've never been sort of particularly I don't have rock and roll type places, but they've been sort of interesting spaces in the time. And I've just been trying to sort of capture a bit of that flavour through models in 1/33 scale.
Yeah,
so like the number of revolutions in a record. So I've just been sort of modelling these places where I've made recordings.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So, are you building the pieces to recreate them in this smaller scale?
Yeah. I think I've probably bitten off more than I can chew, because it's sort of this one here. I mean, this is where I lived and worked for most of the 80s. Although there would be like big trees and bushes in front of here. This is in Lilford Road in South London.
Nice.
So I lived there for about 10 years.
Brilliant.
And, I did all the recordings there. It's I suppose the main one thing that was distinctive is it was all home recordings. Everything we did with Nocturnal Emissions was home recordings. We never went into a recording studio to either be home recordings or to be live recordings. And I think it's because I wanted to get that focus, which I couldn't get if I was paying an engineer to do things.
What was the original setup that you guys had? I've always been intrigued by your sound. It's like kind of like, to me, the most colorful noise music that I was intrigued by.
So let's say very early on.
Start.
Yeah. Going back to about 1980 with that one, right? Tissue of Lies. What's on there? Lots of tapes on there. Tapes and guitars. Yeah, guitars. Yeah, guitars through. So that was the cooker. You did the cooking on it.
Was that yours, or was that just?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we did. The cook. And that was a photograph we found in a railway station at the back of a photo booth.
Nice.
Of course, it was a little photograph at the time.
Kind of looks a bit like Damien from The Omen or something.
He does, doesn't he? And that this other head sort of peeping over.
Yeah,
like that.
What was your? I mean, of course, I should point out. You started this. Is your brother? Is it Danny? Is your brother?
Yeah.
Danny and Carolyn Kay, of course.
Yeah.
The trio you started out where, in Derbyshire?
So me and my brother started. Caroline's from around there as well, but I think we really got going in London. 1979, 1980. And what did we have? We had guitar, bass, Copycat Echo, and I think I used a stage echo, a Korg stage echo, and instruments that we borrowed as well. So I borrowed electric violin off one of the raincoats for that one.
Nice.
Yeah,
love the raincoats.
Yeah, because Vicky used to live next door but one. What else? And there's a AKS, the MS AKS is on there.
Nice.
And an MS-10 synth. The drum machine is one of those first Dr. Rhythm.
All the class.
The very that's what I could find. Anything to get a hold on. The AKS we used was in a electroacoustic music evening class. We just borrowed it in there, but we actually bought one fairly soon after doing that record. Like the next record has got the AKS on it more.
So they at the time you could get them, and they could be kind of cheaper in those days.
Yeah.
I also got one. I think I paid $1,000 for it. I got a VCS3.
Yeah, they're about.
Now they're worth like you could sell it for a new car.
I know. I know the guy who makes them and mends them, and he's got like a 10-year waiting list on them. I mean, they still do them. It's a 10-year waiting list.
They're remaking them, and fantastic synths. And now, of course, people are coming out and making emulations and stuff.
Yeah.
This one was really hard to find. I think I actually got this from you directly. I ordered it from you directly, and you hooked me up way back, 1984.
Yeah.
So
when did you pick up on these then?
What's that?
When did you pick up on these?
Okay, so living in Vancouver, Canada, first time we had ever heard of Nocturnal Emissions. Of course, I brought this album up many times.
Oh yeah,
the classic Elephant Table album. It introduced a lot of bands at once. A compilation of difficult music. It introduced a lot of bands at once, and then, brilliantly enough, it had all of your contacts information.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, how brilliant is that? And so we were. Right away, I was compelled from, I think the first song on here was Suffering Stinks or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was further on in your career, but it compelled me to search for everything and get in touch with you. And so that's when I went back and started, doing the research and realizing that you guys had started Sterile Records. And one of our friends, Alex Douglas, was also responsible for writing the Clem magazine.
Right, yeah.
For electronic musicians, which further enabled us to find ways to get your obscure cassettes or your cassettes.
Yeah.
It was remember in those days when you would go to your post box and you'd see a package in there, and it would be like it probably took 3 weeks from where it was coming, and you maybe ordered it 3 weeks before that. So when the day came when you would get this, it would be like, well, not only were you excited you got a package, but you were hearing a form of music that at the time, I think Dave Henderson called it the wild planet scene.
Yeah.
What it was really interesting to me, it was like um, someone had written it was a combo of the experiments of music concrete and Fluxus combined with the critical eye of conceptual art with the spontaneity of punk. I kind of felt that this scene was like mixing everything about, you know, the kind of like what we knew as like experimental and industrial at that point, but with a greater aesthetic of a punk, and you might want to say a performance art or something. But right away, you guys shook me, and I thought that, you know, I don't think I had heard any music at that time that you know. I mean, of course, I was listening to Throbbing Gristle and Cabaret Voltaire, but nothing was shaking me in the way that you guys did when you guys came along, and it was like more. How do you call it? More political?
I think so. Yeah, I think we did. I think the way Throbbing Gristle and Cabaret Voltaire tended to use politics was sort of with Throbbing Gristle, it was just drama. There wasn't, you know, you couldn't tell whether they were right wing, left wing, or what the hell they were. I think Cabaret Voltaire were more focused in that respect. But I was inspired by like the pop group. I mean, what they did was sort of pretty straightforward, you know. And Crass, what they did is pretty straightforward. You know, there's no ambiguities there.
Yeah.
So that was my inspiration. I thought this is just be direct in your music.
But you happen to have access to some electronics, which I don't believe that Crass or well, the pop group was still kind of mostly acoustic, but I guess
they were, yeah, they were.
Effects experimentation.
Yeah, I mean, the pop group basically a jazz funk band, really.
Yeah.
And what's it on Crass? I mean, Crass would have been a jazz band, really, if they hadn't sort of. I mean, that's what Penny's into, you know. I mean, punk came along, and that was the way of getting the politics through, really.
What kept you guys from going, being a punk band, or say you kind of knew, it seemed, that you wanted to create this new political awareness, or even like animal rights? I think like you were one of the first bands that really came along with a hard stand on animal rights.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the trouble with punk was there was a very conservative element to punk, really. And if there's any sort of deviation from the standards, then there was trouble. I think they had very conservative audiences. I saw Suicide in support of the Clash in '77 or something, and they were, you know, they're getting glass. I mean, Alan Vega's got a glass thrown at him, and you know he's bleeding all over the place. Cabaret Voltaire and the Human League, they toured with the Banshees. I mean, they put plexiglass screens around their equipment because they were getting stuff thrown at them and sort of smashed up. It just wasn't in that way. It wasn't a safe environment, and it was sort of. I suppose it had played out, really. I just found it had played out, and by that time, I found Public Image Limited far more interesting than I found the Sex Pistols musically. I mean, the graphics and when they sort of first came out was a lot stronger, but musically, I can listen to Pill. Sex Pistols, yeah,
yeah,
it's very, very formula, yeah.
Yeah, Second Edition. I mean, I still listen to that album on a regular basis. At the time, though, I remember the first time I heard it, I thought it took me a while for it to sink in. But you know, that's such as what happens when you hear new music. I always thought you guys had a bit of a dark humor as well. And someone kind of made a quote of incomprehensible nonsense of various ultra-leftist political factions were essential part of the mix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think when you do get into sort of political activism, I mean, you're amongst the weirdos there, so there's a lot of comedy to be found there, really.
Sure. But it was interesting that it was coming across with also a serious intent. But so it's like art with serious intent that was making a serious message. It also could be seen with a dark sense of humor. So like a pretty unique blend. So what was the impetus to start your own label versus like trying to hunt around? It's just the same as not wanting to.
We couldn't do it. We can't do that. We couldn't do that sort of thing. I'm just, I just took a Dave Henderson. Actually, I was looking at a clip he did a reminiscence of when he met us back then. He said they couldn't explain their music, and they were odd looking. Now I'm just wondering, why does he think we're odd looking back then? It's because we didn't wear the costumes. We didn't have the new romantic look. We didn't have that severe we didn't have the severe look or anything like that. We just weren't cut out for the business side of things. You know what I mean? The image. We just.
I guess though, it kind of seemed like way more together if you see it from the outside, because the packaging that you guys have for your albums, and then of course the series of cassettes that you guys
yeah
they're really always something that you would want to collect, and you want to get like the whole sterile thing. I always love this Death Day.
Oh yeah.
You released,
you released a collection there.
SBK at the Crypt.
Yeah.
Were you I was speaking with Dean from Portion Control recently. He was saying like, kind of like talking like all you guys were all mates in the same hood.
Well, I'm trying to think how I met Portion Control. SBK lived in maybe 3 miles from us, and sort of if you did a detour from where we lived to where they lived, you could go and see Portion Control. Portion Control lived above in this building. It said the Johnson Engineering Company, so some sort of little factory underneath, which is really funny because there was a band that was like called the Johnson Engineering Company, who were Portion Controls, who came along like a few years later. Yeah.
And Brian Lesmore, of course.
Yeah.
He lives here in LA now as well, actually. So also very creative fellow.
Dyskinesia, yeah.
Fantastic album. Did that lead then? Did you make the cassettes first before you started getting into making the vinyl, or was it dual happening at once, dually at once?
I did cassettes before vinyl. Yeah. Not though. I think part of the impetus for good stuff. I think the other part of the impetus for doing the cassettes, especially live cassettes, was you'd do a show and maybe 10, 15 people would show up. But I knew if I recorded it, it would reach people. Might reach 20 people,
What was the studio like that you did most of your recordings in then at home? What did it consist?
It was
for recording purposes.
For recording, what do we have? We had an 8-track for Fostex.
Oh, okay.
The very first one of those. Before that, we had a TIAC 4-track, which was A3340, and 8-track mixing desk, and we had sequential circuits gear, and we probably borrowed a TR-808, or I think we actually owned a TR-808 for a while, and had a Green Gate sampler, which was like one of the first affordable samplers. That would be from about 85 onwards. Before that, everything's done with tape.
I want to know what the drums were how you created the drums and stuff for this album. This has to be some of my favorite albums of all time. The production on this is, I mean, you must be damn proud of this album.
I'm pleased with that one.
It is so good, Nigel. And I'm sure you don't need me telling you this, but I mean, it's aged so well. I mean, there's something with age. It's like you want to almost go back and say, hey, should we set up that old rig again?
Maybe I shouldn't give away my secrets then.
How did you create the drums and stuff on this? The drums were, I mean, it kind of seems like there were some loops that you were treating, or maybe you could.
They're looped, 8-track loops.
8-track loop.
Loops running on an 8-track.
And also, just the vocal production and the way the noise is all produced. I mean, who did you do the mixing on most of it, or who was the one to gravitate towards being the engineer?
I still got to say Mike. It's just.
But it's the effect, the sound.
That's it. I mean, that's it. It's just sure. What is it? I think that's an SM57.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing special about an SM57. What's going into it. And then, so the vocal effects and stuff like that is something that's just sort of like, you had mentioned them earlier. You had a Korg Space Echo.
Oh yeah, we had a Space Echo. We had. I'm trying to think if on that. I used this this delay line here.
Old school. I know that one. That's like super old school.
Yeah,
digital delay line, it's like real ancient.
Yeah.
Nice. So you still have some of the old gear then?
Well, I wish I had got more of it, really. I mean, because you run out of money, and these you can't hang on to things.
Yeah.
So I don't have I don't have what I used to have now. Well, I hung on to that one. Yeah.
So no drum machine programming. It's mostly loops.
No, it's all loops on that. Yeah.
I kind of thought
I think actually Bloodbath might be. What did we use on that? No, that's real drums on there. Yeah, got it's floor toms. Yeah, it's no drum machines. No, it's loops and it's live drums.
Wow, impressive! Really good achievement. Bethel's not stand.
Yeah.
This one, it was like I started realizing that I was really a huge fan of you guys when I would go search in other cities for your records. And this one came as traveling to Seattle with Bill Weed from Frontline Assembly.
Yeah.
Basically, Bill and I think we had a language that was based around your music at one point. Bill used to use the word, that's total nocturnal.
All right.
Anything that was like, over the top. Okay, I got the funniest thing here for you. You ready?
Yeah.
A letter from you to me, written 30 years ago.
What's the date on that?
The 11th or the 18th of November, 1984.
All right.
And look at how you signed it. It was like the classic. All the Beasties. But it was like interesting that again, I was probably asking. Oh yeah, it was like I was inquiring about Fruiting Body, and then if you want it, you can get it from us. I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted. At the time, I noticed that you were also working with Steve Kanza from Bourbonnais Quad, another one of my favorite bands of the time. Did you ever were you guys integrated in that sense, or as friends, or?
Yeah, we were good mates. I mean, they lived around the corner from us. I've, I've I've been doing some gigs with Simon Crabb lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I saw Steve maybe 5 years back because he does like interactive art installations now, and he came and did a talk down at the university here. So I met up with him then, and I've seen him. Yeah, I've bumped into him a couple of times. Yeah, both of them. Yeah, yeah. So they lived around the corner from us and we sort of pooled our resources a bit. Really, we used to play together, and yeah, they got that thing going in the ambulance station, which was a squatted ambulance station on the Old Kent Road in London, which was quite a rowdy venue, really, sort of one of these legendary anarcho-punk venues it became. I think the most famous thing they had on there was a Jesus and Mary chain was supposed to be in a riot there or something. But that was really funny because the people who attended these gigs, I mean, they all tended to be plumbers and people who were really good at DIY. But like there was no plumbing in the place, everybody would be pissing up against the wall, and yeah, all the power would just run off this sort of plug that hung off the wall, and it was all really well dodgy. But yeah, legendary venue in the Old Kent Road for a while.
Was there much of a camaraderie or a collective feeling with any of the other Wild Planet bands that had been created or exposed during that time?
Well, I mean, outside of music, just by coincidence, I'd met Phil out of the legendary Pink Dots, Phil Silverman, what's he called? Phil Knight.
Yeah.
I'd actually met him when I was about 17, like camping down here. And we went to this free festival in Windsor Great Park, which got smashed up by the police and everybody was beaten up and tents were, trashed and that. And I kicked on his floor for a couple of days after the festival. And I think a few years later, I bumped into him in Amsterdam. And then I sort of discovered it was I think I sort of was actually doing a gig with the Pink Dots. And I thought, oh, I know you.
Yeah. You said you had met not knowing he was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys, I mean, of course, I'm not too sure if you're aware, but I've been working with Edward Caspell on projects since 1986, I think. We started the band.
Oh, right, yeah.
Tiergarten. And Phil has been active with that as well and made a couple of albums with Pink Dots. Yeah, we've always speak about the scene and Phil never mentioned that, so I'm gonna have to bring that up. But they're sweet guys, I love those guys.
Yeah.
But what was there an inspiration that you guys had from somebody else that was like keeping the scene going, or did you like, as I could see that Portion Control started to get signed to say a larger label and then start to get manipulated? Yeah.
I thought Portion Control were they were a bloody good band, but I think they were certainly a pop band. They would fit into that sort of Depeche Mode sort of. Well, they toured with Depeche Mode. Yeah, they were touring with them, so they would fit into that quite nicely and easily, really. I think I get bored with things too easily to sort of get into that sort of touring and gigging and repeating the same material sort of thing. I think that might be one of the things that sort of stop me from doing that kind of thing. I just want to do something different. I think once I've learned how to do something, I want to learn to do something else, if you see what I mean, rather than repeat the formula.
Were you guys did you guys tour much outside of the UK? Did you ever?
We hardly toured the UK at all. Yeah, Bon Ranteras, that was great. That was a great gig. Quark didn't turn up because the van broke down.
Yeah, that's the story. Edward told me that to be the story. No, the
Oh,
quotes show up.
we yeah we all bought part shares in this VW combi. I think there's between 8 of us, and we all sort of piled into this VW combi to go off on tour. And we're just on the verge of splitting up. I think the news was going to be dropped to 2 of them that they weren't wanted in the band anymore. So there's this sort of terrible vibe sort of brewing up. And we set off and just drove as far as Peckham, and the van just went bang, and so we had to be towed home. And we sort of thinking, oh no, let's hope. Oh no, test department. We're thinking, no, test department lived down that way. You see, it's like, oh no, they're going to see us getting towed back. So the guy who did that, oh God, I've forgotten his name. He said, oh no, you can't cancel. I'll drive you around. So we went round in this little, what sort of car was it? This funny little car. It was painted in the colours of the German flag, and it got kamikaze planes like being shot up, and the roof of the car was all dented in because him and his mate used to like jumping on it when we did it when we were in there, and they both sort of jumped on the roof and dented it all in and had a big laugh. And he'd got the big speakers in the back where he was playing The Fall all the time. And at home, he just got car speakers in his flat. He just got these like big apartment speakers in the car. So we did this crazy tour. The great thing about that Rheinterrassen gig was the amount of applause we got. They went crazy.
I know you guys deserve it. I would have been one of those people.
Yeah.
This was also another, I know I brought this up before in previous discussions with people, but the Rising from the Red Sands cassettes that was released by Third Mind, Gary Livermore. Also, you have a couple of tracks on these, but I consider these to be also incredible in that if you look at the track listing of, well, you can't see it, but you see the track listing of a lot of these bands at the time, to think that they were all new at that time to us when we were hearing it all at once.
Gary picked up on that Wild Planet came from, the connections that Gary made, really.
It absolutely, obviously was the inspiration for our band. And we released our first cassette, and we thank you guys and Portion Control and Legendary Pink Dots for your inspirations and hellos.
Yeah, thank you.
We had to pay some tribute there to you guys. And we were hoping that one day we'd get a chance to see you play, but to this day, so unfortunately, escaped it. But it's certainly a pleasure to speak to you now. So you did continue Sterile Records, and kind of like a fashion where most of the records that is that a Sterile record, Chaos Live?
No, that's Larry Peterson put that one out.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that from Normal?
That's he was running his own label. He was Larry. He was just.
Look at that cover. Did you do the artwork on that? Did you make the artwork on this one?
Yeah. Well,
the art was fantastic. Everything. When you guys started speaking about animal rights and getting into sort of like the visual side of things, this thing kind of terrified me the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge, cat animal lover and everything, and so.
It's horrible. I can't watch it.
Yeah. No. It's like,
I couldn't watch it at the time.
This was terrifying. If you put this for anybody, they would, woo! But at the same time, it worked. It was really, making a point. Includes barbaric sex rituals, brain surgery, slaughterhouse, vivisection, graveyard desecration. I mean, it was like the good old days, right?
Yeah. I mean, that sleeve was obviously a piss take because, I mean, at the time there was there's this video censorship bill going through. There's a lot of fuss about video censorship in the UK, and films like Evil Dead and Chainsaw Massacre are all getting
Right.
barred. Yeah. So yeah.
Sterile Records. Sterile Records went, and you also had a video on this too, which was very, very cool at the time. It's like a very early compilation of artists of this genre that was obtainable. That super cool. So you did start getting video making. Was it Charlotte Bill?
Well, the first, that video that you're looking at there, I mean, Charlotte was, oh God, she'd been about 14 at the time. You know, this is she came along later. No, that was Dominic Guerin out of SBK. He was he did the Twin Vision label, and he actually lent Graham Revel lent me his video equipment, which is what we used for Bleeding Images. So it's on the borrowed VHS.
Very, very cool. And it was hard for us because we, in America, of course, are NTSC, so we had to somehow find a way to get it transferred back then.
Yeah.
It was quite a challenge back then. I don't know why. I remember when you used to have a 25 megabyte storage issue, and you had to get like a box of discs. I mean, those old. This is one of my favorite records that you guys made, mainly because "Never Give Up," I think, is possibly the anthem of the era. It's so timeless, and "Songs of Love and Revolution." It's like more. I posted it yesterday on my Patreon to say, "Congratulations, America," because really never give up. It's really. I can't say, maybe it is my most favorite song that you guys ever made for me, but I just absolutely find a spot for that, and my wife is also loves that when I put that on. So sometimes, if I put on the more noisier stuff, she leaves the room, but it's like that's something that
Never Give Up goes down, always goes down. Well, usually, I mean, I don't really do requests, but usually before I do a gig, can you play Never Give Up? So, well, all right, I've got it lined up. Play that. I'll play it at the end then. Yeah, that usually goes on at the end.
So
we're finished.
Is that one song that you would say perform from the past still, if you were going to make a performance, as opposed to the other ones?
Yeah, I tend to, yeah. That's what I have been doing it like. Yeah, that's what I have been doing. Yeah, and
classic.
Yeah.
No, it really has to be said that it is a timeless classic. After that album, it seemed that there was a spiritual. Was it a spiritual shift?
I don't know. It was a cross between a spiritual shift and a total mental breakdown, I think.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, a sort of a rewire, really, of some sort. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think it's probably. Yeah, I think. Sort of rewiring. Certainly a change of focus with that one.
It's really like shifting, like say, the same intent, but into a more shamanistic, Fortean research sort of neo-paganistic approach to it, instead of sort of dark industrial. It's like
yeah.
There's like a intent of being able to apply some sort of spirituality or what am I trying to say? Meditational sort of.
Yeah.
And it's been something that you are equally as good at as your first ventures with Sterile. Now on Earthly Delights, it's just seemingly always developing and always moving forward. And there's always something to it that isn't just an ambient record. It has a bit of I like it when you add like a vocal or something, or you add some sort of human touch to it that basically opens that door to the Nocturnal Emissions land of difference. Spirit flesh.
Spirit flesh, yeah.
So what was it?
That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
For
What was?
animal lovers.
Did you? I know eventually you got into Buto and art on this level. Is this something that what was the change that happened that saw you shift into this direction?
The Buto. I mean, the Buto came from a Buto dancer called Popo. He bought a cassette of that in New York, and he just contacted me after finding the cassette. So that was my first awareness of Buto, really. But yeah, I think around 85 or something, I just reached this burnout point, really, just from confrontational politics of Margaret Thatcher and just all the. I mean, there was strikes going on. There was the free festivals were getting attacked by the police, and there was great social inequalities happening, lots of privatizations happening in the UK, and real sort of breakup and mass unemployment, and it was like a real mess. And I think through Sterile, I think it's probably expressing quite directly of a traumatic shock of all that, really. So I think I'm just trying to rebuild myself psychically by making this music that I would probably want to listen to probably more, and it would put me into a more positive frame of mind.
Right. That's the best call right there.
Yeah.
So I love that. Would you say that you've always made music for yourself first, then instead of thinking about how it might appeal to somebody else?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, the reasoning for that is, I mean, my own tastes aren't really all that weird. So I think if I like it, chances are somebody else would.
Do you find that your taste do you see your taste as weird, or is it something that you find?
Not particularly. Not particularly. Not particularly. I mean, I've got an interest in a wide range of sort of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, from rather than just a sort of specific genre. I mean, particularly when just pop music, Beatles or Dylan or something. You know, or Leonard Cohen, that sort of thing. There's an emotional element to it, which I think it sort of carries through in the records I do, because there isn't a coldness in there. There's a warmth that probably comes over from listening to that kind of vibe, rather than a more I don't know what should we say, academic electronic music, the way that goes. So I've lost track of what we're saying there now.
That's all right. We probably do that here. We make up for it. I think that it's important to maybe mention Carolyn Kay here.
Yeah.
Passed away in what, 2008?
Must be, yeah. Yeah.
What was your relationship with her like with making music?
Making music. She used to drive me up the bloody wall. Yeah, I mean she was I don't know, I mean I don't know.
Was she a partner in crime, so to speak, or
she was a partner of crime, yeah.
Bringing, like, this is, I always thought it's cool when a girl's really into the harder edged music and can bring like sort of like an element to what you were doing. Is because between you and her doing the vocals, I always thought that was just a fabulous combination. It's much more magical than Chris and Cozy or anything like that for me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The music came from her, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, she could play chords and do the chord change. Never give up those chord changes. I mean, I could never figure that out. So yeah, she'd got those skills. I mean, I put things together and eventually they might work. Whereas she got the theory and she could apply that. Yeah, and often exasperating to work with. Bless her.
I also like this album very much.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanner through my beatbox.
Yeah.
Great album, man. Now, what's the story behind this? It's like you're getting like a little like Nigel Adrian Sherwoody.
It does sound very Adrian Sherwoody, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So
No, it's style, but what's good about it is that at that time, I think when this came out, there was like people were really discovering the brilliance of Adrian Sherwood, and it was kind of like creeping through. But this also had its edge. It was like the harder, more as you might say, harder edged version of cut ups. Again, was this like cut up style of loops? Were you using drum machines by this point?
Oh gosh, what was I using there? I was using loops and drum machines on that. Yeah.
Fabulous treatments on this, though. Again, is this one that you just made by yourself, Ben?
That's just me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, brilliant. I also noticed that you guys released a couple of other albums by other artists on Stereo Records. As I've mentioned earlier, Les Mort and Mauricio Bianchi.
Yeah.
Symphony for Genocide.
Yeah.
Was you guys were supporting the creation of other artists' music, and that was I don't know. I kind of saw that as like a community, and
yeah. Yeah, I think you've got to develop a community anyway. You just got to. I mean, yeah, you've got to. Yeah.
What do you do these days to stay happy? Do you have a?
I don't know. Next question.
Do you meditate or do any form of exercise to obtain your inspiration?
I do a lot of walking, and I'm doing it more regularly now. We just fostered a dog, so we're just walking a dog every day. And I live in a beautiful part of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed some
nature.
My friend Mark posts things of brilliant bike rides every day, because you guys seemingly have these wondrous trails which stretch out into the suburbs that you can seemingly go on forever and ever.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not very good on a bike myself, but I do walk a lot. Yeah.
And it's brilliant to see that you recreating the models and stuff like that. I think that's like a natural progression for music, is to want to do something with your hands and to be more creative like that. I think
as far as the music, that's another thing. Like all the recordings I would do at home, because I don't think an engineer could do that, and so I'd have to. And also, I can't really explain it unless I do it. I think I've got this sort of kinesthetic involvement in music, so I've got to be sort of hands-on. And like a lot of the time, I have to make instruments or adapt instruments to make it do what I want it to do.
So, are you using a DAW these days to create music, or are you still using tapes?
I'm using a DAW. Yeah, it's all digital now.
What's your difference?
I keep switching around, but I mean, I'm just using just the usual Reason, Ableton. I was using Acid and sort of dip plugins, but also I'll record acoustic instruments. Things will be based on acoustic recordings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you like Ableton as your audio recording unit device then?
I think I'm using Reason more.
Really?
Yeah, but I tend to sort of do a bit in here and a bit in there, a bit in here, a bit there. Yeah.
I've never really used Reason for audio recording. I actually didn't even know you could record audio.
I think they've improved it in the past couple of years.
Really? I'll have to check it out upon your recommendation. Any can't live without equipment these days? VSTs or favorites?
I just a digital recorders, really.
Really?
I mean, you can do everything on a phone. I mean, there's nothing that you can't look. Yeah.
I love that. You see, start out was that a Zoom recorder? Pocket Zoom?
That's a Yamaha. I've got a Tascam.
Yeah, those are great. And so, yeah, you take that and use that as a source for your sound making.
Yeah, and I'm using a mobile phone as well.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the apps. Have you ever made an album using just your phone yet?
No.
Oh, you should see how good they turn out.
Yeah.
It's just like a totally different band all over again. You could release it as a pseudonym.
Yeah.
The Adventure Man. You're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a hella fun challenge. I should put you through it.
I mean, the challenge with me is my eyesight has just really deteriorated, and I've got varifocal lenses on, so I've got need this big screen to work on.
Same, man. I used to have plus 20/20 vision, and now I can barely see a thing. But I guess that's what getting old is all about, right? Do you collect anything?
Do I collect anything? Yeah, all sorts of shit. Yeah.
You're not a one thing in particular? Teacups? No. Books. It looks like you like books and manuals.
I got lots of sands from.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Where do you collect that from?
Just beaches.
That's awesome.
I got about 100 of those.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
I just bought these cigar tubes. They were in the library for some reason or other. They were selling this big box full of cigar tubes. So I thought, what should I do with that? Oh, I know. I'll put some sand in it. So I've just been gradually filling them.
I love finding out what people collect, and sometimes you can never guess what it would be.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to make a special trip just for sand then?
Well, I mean, we're 5 miles from a beach this way. There's hundreds of beaches around here. Yeah, hundreds of them. Yeah.
But no foreign shores yet.
Yeah, I've got some foreign shores in there. Yeah.
I'll send you some if I travel somewhere. I'll think of you. If I see some sand, I'll pick some up. Were you ever able to play in America? I saw something about the Buto thing.
Yeah, I played with the Buto show. I went over and I did two Buto shows. I did New York, Albany, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Chicago once. And in Canada, I've done Toronto and
Montreal.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Did you actually have a Buto performer with you?
Only in the New York shows.
Brilliant.
So we did a week. I mean, I was doing the music for a Buto show, so there was about 15 dancers involved.
Oh wow, brilliant.
Yeah, and yeah, we actually took that to Denmark as well. That show, and like came over to England as well.
Is that on video anywhere?
There's one tiny clip that was shot in Newcastle that is on YouTube. Well, I'll have to get in touch with the guy who's doing it. Popo, his daughter is actually a superstar rock climber, so he's sort of focused on that now.
Oh wow!
He's
Popo
Shiraki, yeah.
Have you ever seen or heard of Sankai Juko?
I've probably seen on video.
Yeah, they were one of the most experimental looking Buto.
Yeah.
One of the guys unfortunately died when they did a thing in Seattle and he fell off the building that they were repelling from. But it was amazing. I was involved with Expo 86. Got to be a stage manager.
All right. Yeah.
Had some of the most incredible performers come through there. They would just be doing street performances and stuff. Some of them were Buto-esque, but yeah, I was just blown away. What is the Association of Autonomous Astronauts?
This is an organisation of space travel by any means necessary. So it was like an alternative to NASA and the sort of militarization of space. And it was just an experimental organisation that ran for about 4 or 5 years on the underground level. And it's pretty funny, really.
Yeah. I think there was a guy out here that was out in the desert that he was taking matters into his own hands and he was going to fly up and he built his own craft and was headed into space, but unfortunately he didn't make it.
Yeah.
But he made quite a big scene in the news out here. Everyone was hoping that he was going to, actually I think his motive was to prove that the Earth was flat. Photograph. But
yeah, it might have something. It might have miscalculated something there,
Yeah.
I wouldn't rely on his science, really.
Yeah.
Not exactly rocket science, that is it?
No, not at all. Gernau Gerbel asked, Nigel, what sounds are you after these days?
What sounds am I after? In what way? In what way? I mean,
I can help you answer that. You see his pocket recorders. If the source comes from nature, then it probably has to be like a natural element to the sounds to be maybe attractive to the secondary treatments and the effects that might be applied in such a creative way.
That's probably it. Yeah. I think. I think I'd never worked with purely electronic sound. I suppose I've always started off with something that's got a physical presence. It's something that's vibrating air in the real world, and also, I think the human ear is very much attuned to certain sounds and the meanings of certain sounds. I've heard this from an ear doctor. Just how highly evolved we are to hear things just from evolving in woods and stuff like that. That there's something going on there from the real world which has an emotional effect and psychological effect on us. So that's really what I've been exploring all along. But I keep my ears open to everything, really, or try to. I mean, today I was since we got this dog, I mean, listening to the dog drinking.
Right. You see, that's what I was hoping that you would say, because that's really. So you're saying you don't start out on the synthesizer getting blips and leaps. You start out with something that's a natural ring to the ear from nature.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like spans into the many recordings you've made. That I've only pointed out a few of your works, but man, you have been very prolific throughout time, and it's even hard to keep up. But do you have a favorite release that you've made?
No.
You don't have one that you would put in someone's hands and say, listen to this one. I think this one would be this is my favorite. You just can't pick one.
No, I mean, I do. I mean, Never Give Up is a very popular choice. Yeah, but I mean, that's a very popular choice. But no, I can't think. No, I wouldn't. Because my focus. That's not where my focus is. I think I just move on, really.
Yeah. Who does the lady speaking in Never Give Up?
Now that was taken from a radio program. It was an interview with the woman who invented the word yuppie.
Awesome.
So all the things like never read a tabloid newspaper is the characteristics of a yuppie.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see all the great things you find out by asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to
So
go.
I don't know her name, but she can be Googled, like who made up the word yuppie. And there was a book published around that time, and obviously there was a radio interview with her.
Yeah. Have you found yourself as you get older liking a different style of music that you never would have liked when you were younger?
Yeah, I started listening to Miles Davis.
Yeah, no, it's funny how many people that happens to when you get like in your late 40s, or it's like it's even like appeal to your brain yet. And so I found the same with Sun Ra too.
All right, yeah.
I mean, I used to really wonder about it and be like, what is the appeal? And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I just heard the right tracks or whatever, but it really just sucked. And then now when I see it, it's like it's a bit like a magical sort of like, how do you say, performance that is I don't know, it's almost like brain transfer.
Yeah. And I saw them live years ago, and I just didn't get it at the time, but I think I would do now. I mean, certainly the film, was it called Spaces? Oh, yeah. That film's amazing.
Yeah, it is. That will do it. That's actually what really was the film. So you got a chance to see Sun Ra, the actual?
Yeah, in Brixton Ace. Yeah.
Oh man,
it was wasted on me. It was just wasted on me at the time, though.
So at the time you probably were like saying, I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. At the time when you saw it, you were probably a little confused.
I was probably having an off day or something. I don't know. Just
the same, man.
I think I just got a bit grumpy when I was going out. Just no.
One of my friends went and was able to see the original lineup, and he was chatting with them after and telling me how wonderful they were. He said, "I didn't get their set. Sure, nice." So I mean, that's how it is. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Nigel, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your perspective on things and hearing the stories. It's been wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm going to continue to spread the word of both eras of Nocturnal Emissions existence. You need something tough, go for the beginning. You need something soothing, go for the end. In the meantime, I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're going to be working on next. Will you keep me updated?
Yeah. Are you picking up on the downloads?
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Downloads. I'm doing things on CDR.
Right. What is that?
I did a dub release in the summer.
How do we access it though? How do we find them?
Through Bandcamp.
Oh, Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Is it Nigel Ayers Bandcamp or Nocturnal Emissions?
Nocturnal Emissions Bandcamp.
Nice. Everybody go and check that out. That's the place where you can find the official
Nocturnal Emissions at Bandcamp. Yeah.
Nocturnal Emissions at Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And is there any other sites where people can go to get anything else, or is it you did have another site too, didn't you?
I'd link. It's all. I think it all links up to Bandcamp. Really, I've got to because that sort of works as a shop there now, and the downloads are all there, so it's sort of quite easy for me to keep my head around things when they're on there. So yeah, check it out on Bandcamp, and also you can do the news updates there. So that's the most up-to-date place at the moment.
We'll definitely be checking it today. I'm going to go play. I'm going to go play one of your records right now. I was just looking to see if I didn't have one more thing here that I wanted to ask you, but no, I covered it all. Never give up. That's what I'm going to go do right now.
All right, then.
Thanks again, Nigel.
All right. Nice to see you then, Kevin. Yeah. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks you to all you Patreons.